Greetings, fans of One Piece, Pokemon, and Digimon alike. My name is Trey. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about where my anime journey begun. And some of you might think that my first anime was One Piece. Nope. It all started with Pokemon. I've been a fan of Pokemon for years, and I still am to this day at 24 years old. No one could ever make me hate it. I glaze Pokemon like I glaze One Piece, loud and proud. But yeah, we're just gonna get straight on into it. So, I started watching Pokemon when I was like a small child, like 5, 6, 7 years old. 6, 7, 6, 7. Could never really get away from saying that. But yeah, I started. It was like I think it was Pokemon Battle Frontier I watched for the first time. I watched Pokemon a lot on Kids WB. If you remember Kids WB, you're a real one. Kids these days are never gonna know what it's like to freaking grow up, waking up on the weekends and watching stuff on Kids WB. Yeah, and then I watched it on Cartoon Network too. And then ever since then, I haven't watched it since. But then flash forward to high school and stuff, during the time when Pokemon Go came out in 2016. Pokemon Go in August, I'm pretty sure, it's gonna be 10 years old this year. And the whole Pokemon in itself was already 30 years old. It hit its 30th anniversary. Well, its 30th anniversary back in freaking February, was it? And now freaking Pokemon Go is gonna be 10 years old this year. Time flies. I was freaking 14 when that shit came out. I'm 24 now. But like I said, when Pokemon Go came out and it was all the hype, freaking you just remember seeing it everywhere, freaking people just going crazy over stuff. And the dark sides of it too, like people going where they shouldn't have and nearly getting shot and robbed and stuff. 2016 as a whole, that year was something else. I remember people saying that 2026 is going to be like 2016 again. And yeah, people do glaze the shit out of 2016. I did too. That was a good time from 2015 to 2019. Those years were peak, but then after COVID happened, freaking fucking world just kept going downhill, and it's gonna get worse and worse. But at the end of the day, you just got to get up and just walk it off. But yeah, freaking 2016 was a crazy year. Freaking Pokemon Go, the Clown Demic. Don't even get me started on that shit. But anyways, about Pokemon. Then yeah, freshman, end of middle school, into high school was when I started getting into Pokemon again. Well, actually, no, I take that back. I started playing Pokemon Go, and then I got more into it as the years went on gradually, in 2017, 2018. Then I was like, you know what? I want to watch more of this. So, and we're just gonna go over all this shows and stuff, and just talk about them, my experiences watching them. Now, I know I said I started off with Pokemon Battle Frontier, but we're just gonna go from the beginning. So, Pokemon Indigo League is where it all began, obviously, where Ash's journey started for the first time. Seeing him in his room, excited to get his first Pokemon and stuff. And then when he slept through his alarm, he woke up late because he destroyed his clock in his sleep when he was dreaming about catching Pokemon. He freaking hauled ass to the Pokemon Center. Come to find out, all three of the starter Pokemon, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander, were all taken. But Professor Oak told him he did have one Pokemon, but it was just a little bit nuanced, and it was Pikachu. And Pikachu was not feeling Ash at first, but then as the episode went on, they kind of mutually respected each other and then became good friends. Especially during the freaking moment when Ash stood up against the Spearow to protect Pikachu and was like, I ain't afraid of y'all. Come and get me, bitch. And then freaking Pikachu just cooked them all. And then that's when the freaking sky cleared and then Ho-Oh flew over and then there was a big rainbow. And Ash was like, who the hell was that Pokemon? Freaking that's cool. I like that thing that they did in Pokemon where they tease they introduced Pokemon from in a newer generation before it came out and stuff, with Ho-Oh, Togepi, Meryl, and what was the other one? I forgot, but yeah, and then just Ash meets Misty and Brock, and then they travel throughout the Kanto region. Then Ash catches the starter Pokemon. He catches Bulbasaur and Charmander, which is an important one because y'all know the origin of that, right? Charmander, the stray Pokemon. So when Ash found that his Charmander, well, it belonged to someone else, it belonged to Damien, that ruffian. Just saying his name just makes me want to hit him. But you know what's funny is that, speaking of that, on Facebook I saw this post like, what anime character do you hate the most? And someone said Damien from Pokemon. I was like, man, I freaking hate Damien from Pokemon and Saint Charlos from One Piece. I can't stand those motherfuckers, especially Saint Charlos because he's ugly and he's a weirdo. But yeah, it's just, you if you've seen, you know what I'm talking about. Ash tries to catch the Charmander, already belonged to someone. Then Ash and Brock and Misty are just hanging out at the Pokemon Center, and come to find out that punk ass Damien was talking to his friends, bragging about how he had that a Charmander, but it didn't listen to him, and then he just abandoned it. And, and Brock was having none of it, and freaking told Damien, he freaking stood up against him. He's like, "You better get your ass out there and go get her. There's gonna be problems." And Nurse Joy was like, "No fighting in the Pokemon Center." And then Damien and his friends were punks and just left. And Ash, Brock, and Misty went out to go get Charmander, so it didn't get sick, because it said that if the flame on a Charmander's tail goes out, it will die a tragic death. And luckily that didn't happen, and they rescued him when they did. So they bring it back to the Pokemon Center, just making sure this thing is working, because it wasn't working for some reason when I tried to record this video the first time. But I ran out of storage space, but I fixed that. So hopefully I don't have to cut this video into 2 parts, but just bear with me. So yeah, just Charmander realized that Damien wasn't shit after Damien tried to get him back and freaking blasted him with fire, and then just decided to go with Ash and Brock and Misty. And then flash forward to the Squirtle squad, which someone on Facebook pointed out how like Ash's Squirtle and Frankie from One Piece have different backgrounds. Like how they started off as like in a gang and so just went around terrorizing the town, like how Frankie did in Water 7 with the Frankie family, like how Ash's Squirtle did with the Squirtle squad. But then after meeting Ash and Luffy, turned over a new leaf and became good friends and stuff. Now, as far as the Pokemon battles in the Indigo League go, they were all just some bullshit. There was only a couple of battles that Ash won fair and square. Like from Brock and Misty, he got those badges out of petty. To be honest, freaking Ash's ego is kind of. It's like, how are you 10 years old and you have a freaking big ego like that, bro? Like, get the fuck out of here, dog. But like, honestly, out of all the gym battles in Pokemon Indigo League, Ash versus Blaine is like the best one. Because like, I mean, even though after Charmander evolved into Charmeleon, it didn't care about Ash, didn't want to listen to him. But after it evolved into Charizard, it kind of got worse. But fast forward to like his battle with Blaine, Charizard still didn't really give a crap about him. But when he saw Blaine's Magmar, he thought that was a worthy opponent. We'll get more into Charizard's, like, I guess you could say psychology, like, here in a little bit. But I just want to give you a disclosure. I am not a psychologist. I just watched a video about it, and from what the person was saying, it does make sense and does sound psychological. I think my friend Jacob is majoring to be a psychologist, what he told me. Shout out to him. Jacob, if you're watching this video, shout out to you. I love you, bro. But yeah, like then after that, flash forward, fast forward to the Indigo League, and Ash is doing pretty good. I mean, his Kingler, the Killer Kingler, the name you don't get by accident, took out that dude's Golbat and his Executor. And then there's like Muck that smothered Bellsprout and yada yada yada. And then flash forward to Ash versus Richie. That's where it all went down, and not in a good way. Ash was doing good. I mean, Charizard did freaking wreck Richie's Charmander, because Charizard was just fighting its first stage, and he was like, you know what, I can do this easily. But then when it came to fighting Richie's Pikachu Sparky, Charizard was like, you know what, fuck you all. Just decided to sit there, and Ash was so embarrassed, and I was like, are you kidding me? This bastard just cost him his win at the Indigo League because Charizard was so freaking stubborn. Like I said, we're gonna get more into that as this video continues, and hopefully, like I said, the freaking doesn't cut off because of storage, because I literally just fixed it. But like I said, just bear with me, guys. So flash forward to the Orange Islands. It was it's pretty good too. Like Brock stuck around for a bit, stayed behind with Professor Ivy. Then Ash and Misty met Tracy. That fool. I like him to death, but like he's so funny. It's hard to take him seriously sometimes. And like as far as like iconic battles go, Charizard versus Poliwrath, that's peak, and that's where really that's a important moment of Ash's Charizard journey because it was after that battle when he lost the first round because Charizard got frozen in ice and was being stubborn and didn't want to listen to Ash. And I think Tad, loud Ash truck, that was actually my neighbor. She's a cool person. I like her. I talk with her sometimes. I just talked to her earlier. But anyways, even Tad kind of called out Ash on how he trains his Charizard and stuff. And Ash just stayed up late with Charizard. I just heard some goats. There's a farm outside on that pasture, but what was I saying? But yeah, then Ash stayed up all night with Charizard trying to warm him up and was telling him about how he raised him from a Charmander. And Charizard was just thinking and thinking all night. But then when the sun came up, Charizard's flame was burning hot. And then they had their rematch with Tad and they won. And that was when Charizard finally started to listen to Ash. I was like, yes, finally, he's done being a stubborn jackass for once. That's peak, and then flash forward to the Orange League, Ash versus Drake. That was peak too. That was Ash's like first official league win, if you count that. I count it. I don't care what anyone says. It counts. But it was cool when Pikachu beat Dragonite, and then like after that, like post Orange Islands, they go back to Palatown. Brock's back because him and Professor Ivy dumped him. Poor guy. And then Ash battles Gary. Gary tells him about the Johto region, and then Ash hits the Johto region, catches new Pokemon, Heracross, Chikorita, Totodile, Cyndaquil. You know the drill if you've seen this series. Come on now, gang. It's cool that he has a shiny Noctowl, though. I'm just surprised Noctowl wasn't his strongest bird, but apparently Swellow is. I actually thought it was Staraptor, but no, Swellow has a higher win rate. If you don't believe me, just look it up yourself. But yeah, and then like it was cool when Charizard started listening to Ash, but like when you get to the Charcific Valley episodes, that's when Ash knew that even though his Charizard's good, it's definitely not the strongest, and it still had a lot to learn, just like Ash does. And that's the thing. And when I say that, I'm gonna get more into it. You see, Charizard in the beginning kind of reflected the kind of person Ash was, like stubborn, cocky, arrogant, rushes into things without thinking. But the thing is, that's why Charizard didn't really see Ash worthy of owning him at first, because like it's just flex the way your Pokemon act is how you treat them and stuff. And like I said, Ash was only a beginner and a rookie. Plus, Charizard still had some trauma he had to resolve. That was unresolved, but I think he kind of resolved it after being frozen and Ash staying up late to nurse him back to health. But yeah, then Ash realized that leaving Charizard at the Charcific Valley is what was best for Charizard, and what he needed. And then yeah, then it just goes on from there. There's actually this one YouTuber. His name is Lumiose Trainer Zach. I love his videos. I've watched him for years. He made this video like, what would happen if Ash kept Charizard throughout each region and stuff. It's a good channel. I'm sorry, it's a good video. And Lumiose Trainer Zach is a good Pokemon content creator. Huge shout out to that guy. It's actually one of the people who inspired me to make videos and stuff like this, amongst other people. But huge shout out to Lumiose Trainer Zach, or Zach Toshi is what he's called. He's a pretty cool. He's a pretty cool guy. He makes cool videos. You should go check his channel out. If you're watching this, bro, shout out to you. So yeah, like flash forward to the Johto League and stuff when freaking Ash finally beat Gary in a Pokemon battle, and then Gary started to respect Ash as a trainer and stuff. I'll never forget the Charizard, don't give in. Seismic toss with everything you've got. And then freaking he took the W in that round, but then he unfortunately lost to Harrison. Him but the battle between Ash and Harrison was peak. Like both Ash's Charizard and Harrison's Blaziken were both bringing the heat. You know what they say, if you can't take your heat, get your ass out the kitchen, bitch. But yeah, even though Ash lost that battle, it was still pretty good. Freaking it was pretty intense, but so yeah, then Johto's done. On to the advanced generation. It's been a long time since I've watched some of these, so just like you know the drill. Ash enters a new region, meets May, toasts her bike, just like freaking destroys her bike, just like he did to Misty's. Brock returns. They all travel home. Ash catches Trico, which took forever to evolve into Sceptile. My goodness. It didn't evolve into Sceptile until freaking Battle Frontier. Like towards the ending. Well, it's just like freaking Ash's Incineroar. People thought freaking Ash's Sceptile took forever to freaking evolve. Freaking so did Ash's Litten. It didn't literally evolve into freaking Incineroar until like the last few episodes of Sun and Moon and shit. But the battle between the way it evolved was freaking badass and peak, and it's one of the greatest freaking evolutions ever. But as far as I can remember, well, I grew up with Battlefront. I started watching Battle Frontier first, so I guess we could just talk about that. I remember some of the stuff around. Some of those battles were like really good because there's this one. I forgot the guy's name who did the video, but the Battle Frontier was the Hoenn League redemption arc. As you know, Ash lost the Hoenn League and stuff, and then he got a chance to try something new, meaning being the Battle Frontier and stuff, going up against Spencer, Lucy. No, it all started with Ash versus Nolan, and that Articuno he found. That was a good battle. And freaking apparently the training that Charizard had been doing at the Charcific Valley paid off because he freaking came in clutch and beat Nolan's Articuno. So tricking Ash can flex a little bit because his Charizard beat a legendary Pokemon. Even though, and obviously it was at a type advantage, but still it was pretty peak. How he caught the Steel Wing and stuff, like boom, it's peak. And the other battles were cool too, like Ash versus Greta, was it? How his Snorlax knows 6 freaking moves and beat Hariyama, a fighting type, which Snorlax is weak to, but beat him with those 6 moves and freaking Metachamp too. Or was it Grovyle that beat freaking Hariyama? I don't know. Like I said, it's been a long time, but I remember some stuff. And then Ash versus Annabelle, and then that one dude with the Arcanine and the Marsh Stomp. And then Ash versus Lucy was cool too, but then flash forward to like Ash versus Brandon. Actually, no, we got to talk about freaking Sceptile evolving. Freaking, yeah, even though it took a freaking long time, Grovyle finally evolved into Sceptile, but its attacks weren't working because it was going through some love sickness. That's what you could say. Because friggin' after it evolved, none of its attacks were working and it kept on getting wrecked, and it didn't master its attacks like a couple episodes later. Freaking took forever to evolve, and then after it evolved, it couldn't even do shit. Luckily, it came to his senses. It's like, bro, let the Meganium be happy with the Trophius, bro. There's other Lady Grass type Pokemon out there that are just worried about becoming stronger, becoming the strongest Sceptile of your kind, bro. But yeah, then like I said, fast forward, fast. I cannot talk. Uh, but like fast forward to Ash versus Brandon, like freaking when Ash brought back his old Pokemon for that, when they went through like a little training montage. Dude, Ash brought Charizard back twice in the Advanced Series. Just goes to show how much Ash loves Charizard. He was doing all that training in the Charcific Valley. Why wouldn't he bring him back? Honestly, I don't think if he didn't use that team, I don't think he would have beaten Brandon. But that's my personal opinion. But okay, it's fine now. But that was a clutch battle, and freaking Pikachu beat freaking Regice. First, it was Charizard taking out a legendary. Now it's freaking Pikachu because Ash's Pikachu is a god. And then Ash conquers the battle frontier and stuff, and then move on to the Sinnoh region, which I remember some of this stuff. All the battles were actually pretty like really good. Like same shit. Ash meets Dawn. Freaking ends up electrocuting her bike. Ash just has a knack for destroying girls' bikes and never paying them back. Dawn kind of called him out on that during an episode of that series, and it was so funny. But yeah, Diamond and Pearl is peak. That's like where it gets like hella good. That's where it gets good. Like it starts off slow, like the first 3 series, and when Diamond and Pearl comes, it starts to get better because we're getting into Ashes and Fernape. Oh boy, howdy, is that a freaking story right there? It was kind of similar to Charmander's because Ash met Paul, and freaking Paul just kicked Chimchar to the curb and just thought he wasn't shit. And then Ash took him in and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna make him into a badass strong Pokemon. And he kept his word. Because they finally got that Blaze under control and stuff. Because when Monferno was crashing out, he goes like, Monferno, we made a promise to each other. No more crashing out. We're doing this together. Then it evolved into Infernape. And you know what's crazy? Is that Ash's Infernape only lost one freaking battle. And that was against Flint. That's his name? Elite Four Flint. Red Afro. He has an Infernape too. Lost to him. But then after they got the Blaze under control, Ash fought Volkner is his name. And his Luxray. And he won. And honestly, freaking Infernape and Star are after the MVPs, but Buizel is underrated too. He freaking took out He fought Lucario and freaking Ice Aqua Jet, bro. And freaking Star Raptor's the goat. Gliscor is a freaking little silly goober, but we all love him for that. And I really hope this video doesn't cut off. I just got all that storage, but it's just with Ash's Torterra, freaking tragedy, bro. And I freaking looked up like, why was Ash's Torterra so garbage? And it said because Torterra, it's a big freaking walking turtle mountain and it's heavy set. Ash is so used to using Pokemon that battle fast because his Pikachu, for example, he's not used to Pokemon that are slower, and like his freaking Torterra was just garbage, and it's because he wasn't used to battling with big Pokemon like that. I mean, freaking, it beat Team Rocket, but that's Team Rocket. Ash's Weasel could probably send him blasting off alone if it really wanted to, and it probably could. But like Torterra wasn't. It was good as like a Grottle, but then after it evolved, no, I'm sorry, it was good as a Turtwig. I freaking got it mixed up. It did pretty good as a Turtwig, but then after it evolved into Grottle, it got worse, and then once it evolved into Torterra, it got a lot worse. Then there was a Lake Acuity arc. Well, I kind of got this stuff mixed up. I freaking was talking about Infernape evolving. I should have talked about the Lake Acuity arc then, and Infernape, but y'all know what happened and all that stuff. And then flash forward to the freaking Sinnoh League when Ash freaking beat Paul. If that shit did not give you goosebumps, I don't know what will, bro. When freaking it was a freaking evenly matched duel. It was peak. And freaking like when you thought Infernape was about to die, but then it gets up and goes freaking God mode, freaking Super Saiyan, then freaking takes out Paul's Electivire, and then Ash wins that round. But then flash forward to Ash versus Tobias, rigged ass battle. Freaking dude bought a legendary and a mythical Pokemon, but they didn't completely sweep all the Ash's Pokemon because freaking this is why Ash's Sceptile is the GOAT. It freaking took out his Darkrai with just a single Leaf Blade attack, like on some freaking Demon Slayer anime type shit, bro. Just one shotted. That's why Sceptile's the king of the jungle. And then freaking but then freaking flash forward to Latios. It sucks that Ash lost, but freaking Pikachu tied with Latios. That was the second legendary Pokemon that Pikachu took out. A freaking Latios. I understand Ash lost that battle, but still it tied with Tobias. Freaking Latios, dude. I don't know what freaking Ash feeds his Pikachu, but like, damn. It's plot armor. Anyways, now after all that, it's flash forward to Pokemon Black and White. Good animation, but kind of garbage series to say the least. Pikachu losing to a level 5 Snivy, but only after beating a Latios in the previous series. But anyways, yeah, this series was kind of mid. I don't know what the hell they were doing with Ash. It's just freaking. I think Ash freaking got a fucking bee in my room. My freaking window frame got pried off because my freaking cat. He's a lot bigger now. His fat ass freaking keeps lunging out the window, and it freaking actually knocked it out to where it landed on the frontal yard of this apartment complex and stuff. I had to go get it last night. It's sitting over there behind my TV. But anyways, yeah, man, Pokemon Black and White. It could have been better if Ash's team wasn't booty, but can't really throw them under the bus that much because really, honestly, freaking Crocodile was the MVP. Like, I don't know what the hell was wrong with going on with Unpheasant. I mean, I maybe Pignite would have been better if it evolved into Emboar, but and stuff, and then like Oshawott, and then but freaking Crocodile was the MVP. I mean, hey, at least Ash battled Iris in one, and Crocodile took out her Dragonite. So there was that. Like I said, there's really not much to say about Pokemon Black and White. I know I might get crap for it, but who the fuck cares? Everyone knows it was kind of mid. It was mid at best. And don't even get me started on the battle with Cameron. It's like, bro, how is it that Cameron only had 5 Pokemon? You had a full team of 6, and he still managed to freaking whoop your ass. But props to Pignite though for freaking taking out Hydreigon. And if Ash freaking, I can say this with confidence. If Ash swapped out one of his Pokemon, because he did bring Charizard back for a bit, because he was telling Iris about it, Iris and Silent about it. You know what? Hold on. Let's go back a couple of yards. Crocodile is the real MVP, and the peak moment was freaking Ash versus Iris and stuff. Wish we would have got to see how that battle ended, but that's all right. At least they got to have an interaction like that, though. That shit was cool. But fast forward, then done with Black and White. Now we're on to freaking peak Pokemon XY. Who, my brother in Christ, was this series like the best? One of, if not the best. Freaking like, just right off the bat, we got like a shonen style anime art. We got a shonen art style going on here. Freaking Froky's been had his eyes on Ash ever since he stepped foot into the Kalos region. He meets Clement and Bonnie. Freaking Ash didn't choose Froakie. Froakie chose him. He was even told that Froakie specific dude. There's a freaking so much lore behind Ash's Greninja. We're gonna get into it in this video. We'll talk about it. But like I said, just bear with me as we talk about it more. But like, yeah, like freaking Pokemon XY is peak. Like Ash's Greninja, the whole like Serena, the whole gang and stuff. Freaking Ash's Kalos team is like one of his best ones too. Like freaking, and you know what? Pokemon XYZ may have had some filler episodes, but at least those ones were good. The freaking filler episodes of Sun of Moon were. Don't even get me started on the filler episodes and freaking Journeys. That was unnecessary. What do you mean I have to see Ash and go try to get a Mudkip out of the fucking ground before the good stuff happens? Or see just a bunch of random turtle Pokemon and stuff. Anyways, we're talking about XY right now, but yeah. Really, freaking XY and Z was like, that is all peak. Freaking, they put their heart and soul into that series, and it freaking took off. But yeah, like Ash's Greninja, it's good, but it kind of had its moments. I mean, like, it really did good as a Froakie, and then it became a Frogadier. It was undefeated. It was undefeated as a Frogadier. Frogadier, chat. Like, Frogadier was so good that he had people glazing the shit out of him. Then after it evolved into Greninja, it kind of got worse. It's like, how do you, and the freaking whole Kalos League and stuff, but the freaking thing with like Olympia, like just knowing the origin of Ash's Froakie and stuff, and then like after it evolving into Greninja, it did good, but like it lost to the freaking same Mega Charizard, or should I just say Charizard, 3 different times. I think the Kalos League was maybe just a bit kind of rigged, but he came in so freaking close to winning. He was almost there. I was like, this is gonna be Ash's W moment. Then when the smoke cleared from the freaking blast burn and the giant golden water shuriken attack, I saw Charizard stumble. I was like, oh wait, and then Greninja starts leaning over, and then he freaking falls and he changes form. I'm like, no! My boy was so close to taking the W, but freaking Greninja just couldn't take the heat. Literally. And then freaking after the freaking league, a whole freaking war breaks out. You got freaking, what is it, Team Flare having control over one Zygarde, and it's freaking plunging the city into chaos and stuff. That like arc was pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of like the raid on Onigashima in One Piece. Damn, it really kind of does. Like how they all come together just to freaking stop um Team Flare and Lysander and stuff, and Jurassic and whole 9 yards. And then like after that, it's just stuff was so chill afterwards. But then Ash had to say goodbye to Greninja, which is one of the saddest goodbyes ever. It's like I understand why he had to let go of Greninja, but it sucks when he made that return in Journeys. He really didn't do shit. We'll get more into that when we talk about Journeys, but yeah. Sorry, I zoned out for a minute, but that's like XYZ. You know what's crazy is that you don't really hear the war in Kalos getting brought up anymore because Ash literally could have been deemed a war hero after all that, but that's okay. It's already been done. But then we're on to Pokemon Sun and Moon, which that's a peak series too. It's just the art style is. You see, I think the reason I'm not 1,000% sure why. Gotta close my window so freaking bees don't fall in. I'm sorry flying here because, like I said, the freaking window screen got pried off because of my freaking cat being an idiot. But yeah, Pokemon Sun and Moon is good. It's just people just don't like it because of the animation and stuff. Hold on. A lot of people just didn't really like it because of its animation. And I don't know why it changed, but apparently, I think the guy who did the animation for Pokemon X, Y, and Z, like when Pokemon in the XY series had that whole shonen anime style art, I think that guy passed away, and that's why the animation changed. Although I could be wrong. That's something worth looking into. That's just what I was heard and told, and I was like, oh damn, that sucks. But Sun and Moon, good series. It's just people complain about the art style, but it was good. Like I personally like it. It's on Hulu and stuff. Freaking the Lola League was freaking. People complained about the art style, but then when that freaking battle in the freaking Lola League happened, bliss. But like, I think the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime, in my opinion, had the most like meaningful, like it was like a meaningful series. It literally tackled like the importance of friendship and family, and Ash really did have good bonds with like the Lola gang and stuff like that. And literally, Professor Kukui was like the best father figure to Ash, the father figure that Ash never had. And Professor Kukui is literally like his dad, and Burnett was like his second mother. Freaking said my phone battery was dying. But like I said, Sun and Moon's peak. I mean, it started off slow in the beginning, like when Ash caught Rockruff, Litten, and Rowlet and stuff. But like when freaking Rockruff evolved into its dust form Lycanroc for the first time, that was so beautiful. Like it was literally staring off when it was dusk and its eyes were turning green. Because you notice like this pattern of how they always give Ash a certain kind of Pokemon, like Battle Bond Greninja, Dusk Lycanroc, Ash Hat Pikachu, which we're about to get into that pretty quick. And it was cool that Ash and like his classmates went to freaking Kanto for like a field trip, and then they came back, and then that's when like we get introduced to like Solgaleo, Lunala, and the Ultra Beasts, and like the rest of the island battles and stuff. And yeah, like it did pretty good, even though there was some filler episodes in there, some that weren't necessary. But I like how they did the whole Ultra Guardians thing, where they be in those like freaking jumpsuits and stuff, and went up and caught Ultra Beasts and stuff. It's pretty peak, and how they went into, and then the whole thing with Faba and how he created Type Null Savali and tried to steal him back, and Gladion was having none of it. But that whole like freaking Ultra Space arc was good when freaking Lusamine fused with Nihilego, and then it turned into a monster, and then freaking Pikachu used the 10 million volt Thunderbolt Z move for the first time. Peak. And like that all got finished. Then Ash, pretty sure he battled I already forgot the dude's name. The Island Kahuna that has the freaking Alolan Persian stuff. I have a Pokeball. I had this for years. Then he got the Lycanroc Z move. It was cool seeing him use that for the first time. Splintered Storm Shards! And then in Ultra Legends, the third and final season of Sun and Moon. So when they announced the Alola League, and this is when like I really started to like be so in touch with Pokemon and stuff. This is like in high school and stuff and everything. Like I was waiting for the weekly episodes and stuff. Because like I said, when I even said in one of my early videos that before One Piece and stuff, back when like the Pokemon anime still had Ash and stuff, it was during the Sun and Moon series when they were when they were releasing the weekly episodes, and I watched them and stuff and everything. Like Sun and Moon series got really good in the third season. Like God, freaking it! Finally, we got Lana's Popplio finally evolving to Primarina. Sophocles, Charger Bug evolving to Vikavolt and stuff. Lily getting a Z ring. Pretty much the last few people in the Alola crew to be getting their own Z rings and stuff. We freaking comes to find out that Lily has a Magearna that her father got for her, and the whole thing with Lily and Gladion's father, that was a freaking mystery and stuff. And we really thought we were gonna see him at the end of the series, but no. At the end, they went out looking for him and everything. But yeah, like the final season of Sun and Moon had some really good moments, like everyone's Pokemon evolving, them getting their own Z rings and stuff. Ash versus Kahuna Habu when Pikachu beat Mudsdale, a ground type. Plot armor. But yeah, and then Ash fighting Guzma for the first time, and Guzma's like, fuck you. And then, like, flash forward to the freaking Alola League and stuff. And honestly, no, before we get into that, the freaking, when they were all in the fog of the lost, like how, I think it's Tapu Fini that can do that and, like, make you see your deceased loved ones, how Mallow found her mother, and then Torracat found Stoutland, and then showed how strong he got. But Lily didn't see her father, which meant one thing: he was still alive and he was out there somewhere. And that kind of kicked the whole off to go finding him. But flash forward to the Alola League, right? It's already taken off. Freaking, we got everyone entering, like how it was all for one, just everyone going against each other. Then they got the matchups and stuff. And then it's actually cool when Lily not only found her Ice Z Crystal for the first time, but when she got her father's Z Ring, she failed at mastering the first time, and then she got it under control. And like, Gladion finding their father Zoroark and stuff and adding it to his team and everything. Excuse me. Like that was like the end game for like Pokemon Sun and Moon and stuff, was the Alola League and the matchups and stuff. There was some really good matchups, like Kiawe versus Gladion. The battle between Mallow and Lily was good, even though they were friends. They were kind of shocked to know that they were going to be battling each other, but they were friends at the end of the day. They didn't really care who lost or won. They still remained good friends. Uh, Kiawe versus Gladion was pretty good too. That's when we finally saw that freaking Gladion's Lycanroc lost the battle because freaking Turtonator learned Focus Blast, and Kiawe was just like, Focus Blast! Flexing his muscles and stuff, and then freaking Lycanroc got took out. But then Kiawe tried to finish it off with the Z move and everything. And freaking, so Gladion threw in a fire type memory at Savali at the last minute, and then Gladion ended up winning that battle. Then freaking Guzma versus Lana, that fight was brutal. Freaking Guzma didn't hold back. His freaking Golisopod was pummeling the shit out of her Primarina, bro. Freaking. And then freaking Ash got you know, hold on, before I get into that. The whole Ash versus Hal thing, the Ash versus Hal battle, it was a funny battle, but like it was kind of stupid. Apparently, like how Ash thought he lost, but then come to find out, Rowlett's Decidueye costume he just slipped out of it, and then he freaking ended up winning. And I was like, dang, Rowlett is like God D Usopp, and yeah, Usopp would have a freaking Rowlett. I'll talk more about that towards the end of this video. But then yeah, then Ash versus Guzma, that was a good battle too, because freaking finally put Guzma in his place and everything, and then the whole 9 yards and stuff. Then now we're to Ash versus Gladion. Peak. And it was cool that freaking Ash's Meltan evolved into Melmetal before that. Freaking Ash has a Melmetal. That's a mythical Pokemon. They're giving Ash all the goods. This is going to be a long video, guys. I think we're going to come in clutch to like nearly an hour, give or take. But yeah, like evolved into Melmetal. Then the next day he was battling Gladion. That battle was good. Even though Melmetal lost to Silvally and Pikachu beat Silvally. Then tied with Zoroark because they both lost, and then it was like Ash's Lycanroc versus Gladions. Just they were shooting bite for bite, literally, freaking count Stone Edge and stuff. Then to win, Ash countered with a counter attack, and then sent Gladion's Lycanroc to the wall, and then for the first time in forever, Ash finally won freaking Pokemon League. And it was everywhere too. It was on CNN. If you looked it up, Ash winning the Alola League, it was article after article. Dude, I remember when I was in high school, that was all I was talking about. I was like, guys, for the first time and for freaking ever, for the first time ever, Ash finally won a Pokemon League. They're like, what? You know Ash Ketchum, the Pokemon show I watched? We're like, oh, well, Trey, we don't really know what that means, but good for him. Good for your boy. And I was like, dude, I was so happy when he freaking won that. I was like, after all these years, he finally won a freaking Pokemon League. If that didn't give anyone any inspiration to do something or any motivation at all, honestly don't know what will. But yeah, it was just, I just was talking about it all day. I was so happy when I freaking woke up that morning and I was like, he did it, my boy did it. First ever win in a league. That wasn't the end of the league though. He still had to battle Professor Kukui, which that battle was even better. And I still was wondering what the hell Kukui's sixth Pokemon was. It's still a mystery, even like 7 years later. God damn it, I just did it again. Stupid 6-7. But the freaking Ash versus Kukui battle was awesome. Especially when it went down to like Torracat versus Incineroar. And how Torracat beat Kukui's Incineroar. And then Ash's Torracat finally evolved into Incineroar. Like I was saying earlier in the video, if you all thought freaking it took forever for Sceptile to evolve, look at Ash's Incineroar. It took even longer. Last few episodes, it didn't evolve, but at least it evolved in an epic, awesome way. After exchanging Inferno Overdrive Z moves and everything, friggin' Kukui's Incineroar just toppled on the floor, and then Ash's Torracat just freaking let out a mighty meow and evolved into a strong Incineroar. And it fainted while standing up. It doesn't get any better than that. Well, actually, it kind of does. Because freaking Kukui was about to send out his last Pokemon, but then Tapu Koko stepped in and was like, nah, bitch. I'm fighting with you. And then, like, oh my god, dude. It's just Pikachu versus Tapu Koko was so freaking peak. When Ash felt the power of Alola, and they did a freaking Kamehameha freaking thing with the Z move and stuff. And you got freaking Guardian of Alola, freaking giant Titan, countering that thing. But then Ash, oh my god, it was so peak. It was so peak, literally. Then after that, after I saw that Ash beat Kukui and stuff and still defended his title as champion, I was like, bro, you cannot do any better than this. And then then after that, like, there was downtime. Everyone in the gang figured out what they wanted to do from that day forward. And Ash left his Pokemon behind at Professor Kukui's and said goodbye to everyone. His departure from Alola was like the most heart, like the one that hit you in the feels the most. Because, like I was saying, Pokemon Sun and Moon, in my opinion, which I think that's the best one. I know the animation wasn't the best, but it was good, like story and plot wise, because the meaning of like family and friends and stuff. And that's why his departure from Alola was just different. You know what I mean? Because it just showed all of his friends and stuff flying on the Pokemon and they were saying goodbye to him and Pikachu. And that's Sun and Moon. Then we're on to Pokemon Journeys. Awkward silence. I just had to freaking think for a second. But, and you know what? Just before I even start talking about it, Pokemon series was, you think Black and White was mid? Journeys was too. And freaking, honestly, before I get into it, it would have been better if Ash used some of his old Pokemon, and you'll see why. And actually, if you really want to know a more well-rounded, detailed take about it, check out Infamous Trainer. He's another Pokemon content creator on YouTube. Love his videos. Been watching them for years and stuff. He actually made his own video about what Pokemon Journey should have been. I'll put a link to his channel in the comments below. Shout out to him too. Infamous Trainer, if you're watching this, huge shout out to you and Lumio's trainer, Zach, and the Pokeraf. He's another good Pokemon content creator. I'll talk about them more at the end of this video. But Pokemon Journeys, it was good, but it was still mid. I got the introduction of a new character named Go, which I know everyone has their things to say about him. Me personally, I thought he was a good character. I just thought he was unnecessary. Same with freaking Chloe too. It's like, what the fuck are these two doing? One's just catching a bunch of Pokemon that he hardly uses, and the other is just there just to freaking promote an Eevee. But like, at least Ash had a good Pokemon. Freaking, he caught Dragonite. His first Pokemon he caught in that series was freaking Dragonite. Another loud ass truck going by. They ain't never gonna let me do these videos quietly, are they, chat? But yeah, he freaking caught Dragonite. I wasn't expecting that. I nearly freaking lost my mind. I was like, did this boy just freaking catch a Dragonite? And then a few episodes later, he freaking finally catches a Gengar. Missed opportunity to do that back in Indigo League with that freaking Haunter and stuff. Rigged ass freaking battle between him and Sabrina. All you did was just make her live. You won the battle anyway, kid. It's like, shut the fuck up. That shit was dumb. Then he catches freaking. No, I think he got his Riolu next, which it was about time they fucking gave Ash Lucario. That took forever. He had so much aura that he freaking bonded with Lucario. Hold on a second, I gotta sneeze. Ash was a master of aura this whole time. It only took them long enough to freaking give him Lucario. Freaking Lucario would be like, aura farming? Bitch, I invented it. And then like he caught Surfetch, then Dracovish and stuff. You see, when it comes to this, like the really only thing you could talk about is Ash. You can't really say all that exciting stuff about Go. It's like I said, I don't hate him. Just I don't like him as a character. I just thought him and Chloe were so unnecessary and not needed. But that's my opinion. I know that may ruffle some feathers, but if you don't like it, go cry about it. But yeah, it took freaking Farfetch forever to evolve. Because he was just freaking Lucario's punching back for so long. But the way freaking Lucario evolved was epic. Freaking holding back Copperajah and Ferrothorn like freaking Spider-Man and just evolving to Lucario and then like boom and stuff. Some of those those class battles were cool, like Ash versus Pisquez or then Ash versus B, even though he lost, then they had a rematch. It was all good. The Sword and Shield arc was pretty good too, but it could have been better. Like I said, watch Infamous Trainer's video about if Pokemon Journeys ended differently. I'll talk about it more here in a second until I get to the end of talking about Journeys. But yeah, I mean, because it wasn't set in the Galar region, they just did a whole World Coronation series where like if you make it to the top, like you get into the Masters 8 and you battle whoever wins that gets to battle Leon and stuff. But some of those class battles were cool, like Ash fighting Volkner again, his rematch with B. Third rematch actually. He lost the first time. Won the I think this I think he lost the first time. The second time was a tie. And then the third time he actually won fair and square. I can't really remember, but it's been a long time. But then like Ash versus Volkner again. Even though Pikachu using his Z move to finish off Electivire, which by the way, special ability is Lightning Rod. That Z move shouldn't have done anything to him, but I digress. And then Ash versus Rhyhorn was pretty cool. How freaking Lucario let out the freaking Spirit Bomb style Aura Sphere and just freaking lunged it at freaking Duraludon and stuff. And then we got to the Masters 8. Oh boy, howdy. Wasn't that a roller coaster ride? It was freaking. The matchups were good, but the battles were kind of garbage. I mean, freaking start off. What the hell was Leon versus Alon? Freaking Leon's real boom is like the Incredible Hulk. Freaking, and then freaking he G maxed it instead of his Charizard, and then freaking fought against Leon. I'm sorry, Leon's Charizard went up against Alon's Mega Charizard, and then it got freaking wrecked by just one Dragon Pulse. I was like, bro, Y'all got us hyped up thinking we were gonna see Mega Charizard versus Gmax Charizard, but boy howdy, we were so wrong. And then, but Cynthia versus Iris was pretty good. That was a good battle. Uh, Ash versus Steven was pretty good too. Um, Leon versus Diantha. That was, if you thought freaking Leon versus Alon was bad, Leon versus Diantha was so much worse. His Rillaboom swept half of her Pokemon, dude. And then it didn't come until like freaking Charizard versus Gardevoir. It was cool when Gardevoir redirected that attack though, but still, she lost. It's like, bro, freaking Leon's Rillaboom is the Incredible Hulk, bro. There's no taking that thing out. Diantha. Diantha versus um Lance was pretty alright. It was mid at best, but fast forward to where everyone cares about Ash versus Leon. When Ash got the freaking privilege to use all of his gimmicks, Mega Evolution, Z Move, Dynamax. It was good in the beginning. It turns out Leon had all the Galar starters. When they showed the rest of Leon's Pokemon, everyone was wondering what it was because so far we only knew he had Charizard, Dragonite, and Rillaboom. But then it showed that he had Cinderace, and Teleon, and Mr. Rime. I was like, okay, let him cook. He's cooking. And then it freaking showed like when they had that banner of like Ash versus Leon battling. I was like, oh my god, bro, we are in end game for Pokemon Journeys. And it's just the whole battle between Ash versus Leon was cool. Like how freaking it was just so good. Like how Ash came down to his last two Pokemon and stuff. Freaking the way that freaking Cinderace, no, the way Cinderace G maxed and stuff, and then Pikachu did as well. And it took out Cinderace and stuff. Freaking Leon Cinderace is badass. It knows Libero, which means whatever, because it had Pyro Ball, Iron Head, High Jump Kick, Scorching Sands. So whichever type, because if it used Scorching Sands, ground type, it turns into a ground type. If it used Iron Head, it turned into a Steel type. If it used High Jump Kick, it turned into Fighting type. That's what Libero is. Just like Protean Greninja. And then like that battle was cool. And then flash forward to Pikachu versus Charizard, the freaking G Max versus the Z move. And it's just that battle, just the Pikachu versus Charizard as a whole was just chef's kiss. Especially when Pikachu almost freaking collapsed and was about ready to faint. But then Pokemon Journeys actually caring about its fan base for once and wanting to make everyone happy. Showed like little clips and stuff of his Ash's old Pokemon cheering on Pikachu, rooting for him. I don't mean to get emotional, but like, it was so good. And then freaking Pikachu wakes up and freaking starts electrifying. Or freaking looks like there's Conqueror's hockey going everywhere. And then they played the Pokemon theme, and then Pikachu and Charizard clash one more time. Charizard freaking passes out, and Ash freaking becomes the new champion of the world. Peak. And then after that, him and Go hang out. Go cries like a bitch about something, and then Ash goes his own way, and then we're not quite out of the woods yet. We still have aim to be a Pokemon master, which it was a good 11 episode arc. It's just me personally, instead of doing that, they could have had Ash use his old Pokemon in Pokemon Journeys, and that's the video that Infamous Trainer has. Is where it showcased what Pokemon Journeys would have been like if Ash used his old Pokemon instead of catching new ones. And when I was watching that video, I was like, they should have done that instead. I mean, don't get me wrong, his Journeys team is peak and it's like his strongest one. But like they should have freaking done that instead. Have Ash bring back his old Pokemon so they can get some redemption. But like I said, it's already been done. Journeys is done, ended forever ago. Even though Aim to be a Pokemon Master was alright, but the final episode was good. Where Ash threw the stick up in the air and him and Pikachu went about their merry way. Their going merry way. Speaking of One Piece, and that's the thing about me is that when I got into Pokemon, I got into it to where I started like collabing it with stuff I like One Piece, Fairy Tail, Demon Slayer, JJK. I'll probably make a separate video on that, but yeah, that's just my Pokemon journey throughout the years, watching it from day one all the way up to when it ended. It sucked to see Ash go, but he passed down the torch to the newer generation. And I gotta say, Pokemon Horizons, it's pretty good. I mean, they're finally not being some bitches for once and letting the freaking protagonist Pokemon evolve. Freaking Dot's Quaxwell just evolved to Quaquaval not too long ago. And then Roy Crocolore evolved into Skeledirge and stuff. It was like they're finally giving what the fans wanted. Pokemon evolving. But yeah, damn, we were almost cutting in into an hour chat. 55 minutes. Lord have mercy. This is going to take a while to upload to YouTube. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. I mean, yeah, freaking Pokemon was the first ever anime I watched, along with Dragon Ball Z Kai, but it was mostly Pokemon. And then throughout the years, I've watched it and stayed loyal to it ever since. It's kind of like it's like how I said One Piece is like my football team I stay loyal to. It's like a um Pokemon is kind of like my basketball team I stay loyal to, because Pokemon and One Piece are my two favorite things in the world, and I wouldn't change that for anyone because I love them both. But Pokemon will always have a special place in my heart because it's my childhood, and I just love it so much, like I do One Piece. So that is going to be the end of today's video. If you guys really like this video, which I hope you did, it's coming in close to an hour of it being recorded and stuff, me recording. But if you guys really like this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Because I love filming videos like this and everything. More loud ass trucks. But like I said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. That really helps the YouTube algorithm a lot, and I really hope I can become a content creator someday. So that's the end. Peace and forever prosper, or whatever the hell Spock says. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. You have a great day. Peace out, Nakama.